Hey everybody, Keisha here, and today I am here with my friend
Jennifer Guskin.
and we need your help. We are right now working on advocacy for combating human trafficking, and here's why. So we'll give you a little bit of background of our story and why we're doing what we're doing.
I was adopted as an infant by a couple who sold me throughout my childhood. I have been to Epstein Island and on multiple Lolita Express types of flights as a child. After I went public, Child Protective Services opened a substance-exposed newborn case, even though all tests came back negative, and they told me that if I wouldn't stop posting on social media, I would never see my daughter again. I started to connect how I was adopted as an infant and then sold throughout my childhood, how many other children who have been through the adoption, foster, and CPS pipelines have also been trafficked to Epstein's Elk.
And as many of you guys know already, based on the work that we do at the CARES Project, I'm an American Indian born in Canada under the Jay Treaty. My father and I were exposed in the improper contagion mitigation for the COVID pandemic in early 2020. As a result of this, I lost everything: a house, cars, corporate assets, jobs. Bank accounts were shut down in Canada, and I fled to the US as an American Indian, fully documented, and was trafficked by rogue agents in ICE and other agents in the government, and forced to live with single American men. I was even imprisoned for 7 months initially, and then trafficked throughout the states. Put on full surveillance tracking and wasn't allowed to leave the city, house, or state without permission, or work without permission. And that happened for many years, and I was on and off the streets because of that, and in and out of shelters. And that is just a small example of what many go through in this trafficking system, be it the family courts or otherwise. So that's why the CARES Project will be going to DC to speak with representatives and do live reporting. We're also going to be in contact with other families who are dealing with human trafficking, and through the CPS courts or through any other means, lesser versions of trafficking, and doing reporting on them live and otherwise. We will also be working on we ultimately want to shine light on what's going on with the trafficking here in the US. And we also want to meet with various agencies in DC, and we'll be going back and forth for training sessions and other things so that we can be better equipped to help people deal with resolving some of the issues that we're seeing. We will also be putting forth petitions in government to help people get justice, and that's something that we have been working on already so far. We have some petitions that have recently been filed in the state of Colorado, Michigan, Texas, and Arizona, and we will be continuing.
But we can't do this on our own. We will be traveling to events and training courses, as well as DC on a consistent basis. We also have to get acceptable equipment, such as computers, cameras, interview gear, etc. There will be other miscellaneous costs that would also be like gas, food, and rooms if necessary.
So that is why we are working towards combating human trafficking, and that is exactly why we need your help. We cannot do this alone, and most what the CARES Project does is on its own dime. And so we do love and appreciate each and every one of you that support us and all the work that we do. As many of you know, we also live stream on Lindell TV every day. And everything we do, like I said, is on our own dime. So we appreciate all the love and support and all the people who do donate. And we would very much love and appreciate that still. Thank you everybody for your time and considerations. And thank you for all the support. And we will catch you guys in the next one, and hopefully we might see you guys in the future and come across you and maybe be able to do some great things together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CARES Project podcast. Obviously, I'm here today with my daughter. She's probably a little jet lagged, some travel, but that's okay. Yeah, you want to kind of ease us into this whole idea of women and men saying that they understand each other's experience. You're muted. We can't hear you. There
I
we go.
was muted. Guess I like talking to myself too. Apple don't fall too far from the tree, innit? Anyway, yeah. So, hey y'all, what's good in the proverbial hood? Keisha here. So, I am back from my travels in Alabama, where I was visiting Dr. Kent Hovind's Dinosaur Adventureland. I am a little bit jet lagged, don't mind me. But yeah, so men and women are totally delusional today because too many women are telling men what their exact experience is, and too many men are telling women what their exact experience is. Doesn't make sense to me because I know that I don't think like a man. I don't want to think like a man. I don't understand men. I don't know why men do the things that they do. And women who say that they do are lying. Men who say that they understand the experience of women is lying. This is quite literally the trans agenda and gay. Literally gay. Not just the insult gay, it is literally gay. And even that is just trans delusion because even if you're gay, you still do not think and operate as the opposite sex as you're intending to make people believe that you do. It is nonsense. It is mental illness. It is a delusion and it needs to stop. So, yeah, anyways, welcome back.
Yeah, it's that one African guy I saw on something. He's like their Delulu.
Delulu, yeah, for real. Because why? Like, why? Like that's next level grift. Like, I hate even the word grift because everyone uses it for like virtue signal, and I hate that word too. But in this context, it applies. So, anyways, we're gonna go over some clips in it.
Yeah, I sit down and say I don't know the first thing about what it means to be a woman or what that experience is. But let's go look at some clips here. Okay, let's pull up the first one.
You say that women need to be able to submit to their men. Can you explain that?
What I mean by me being able to submit is not blindly because he's the man and therefore I'm submitting and I'm going to worship you because you're the man. It doesn't work that way. It works more a way that I see that you are very protective. You're a good provider. You're protective. You're smart. You're intelligent. You can make decisions without me having to kind of guide you all the way. As a result of your traits, I naturally want to submit. It's a bit like having a great manager at work. When you have a manager that comes in late, doesn't know what they're doing, is erratic, it's hard for the workforce to respect their authority. But when the manager is fantastic, you naturally submit. So the key is women submit to men that they respect. So it's important to get their respect first. And how you get their respect is having a willingness to walk away when you are being highly disrespected and not allowing them a free pass to bad behavior simply because they look fantastic or simply because they're attached to you. Their behavior is causing the attachment, not you're not just blindly attached. So when a behavior is wrong, you reduce your attachment rather than increasing it. And that way a woman will realize that she has to behave right and be submissive in order to get your most love.
Now, how does this work from the woman's perspective?
From the women's perspective is when she has a great partner who she can submit to, she can finally relax in life. When she has a partner that she respects, he makes great decisions. He's he's very protective. He's not stupid. Like, she can't manipulate him. She can't lie to him. She's forced to be a better person. And she can also relax a little bit. When she has kids, she knows that she can trust him with some of the decision making. And she doesn't have to be in this mode of where she's lying and hiding things. She can actually be her authentic self because she's chosen somebody who sees her for who she truly is and is chosen correctly. But when she chooses somebody who's naively selected her simply because of her appearance or has believed all her lies in the process to get the relationship, she has to maintain the act for the rest of the relationship, and it gets exhausting.
So my understanding of what you're saying, and I'm tying that into what I've seen currently, like in the dating area, is there's this trend online where girls say, if I go to the airport, I don't want to have to think about anything. And I don't know if you've seen that.
You turn your brain off.
I see like these like shorts and stuff, and it's like a girl filming a guy, and he's carrying all the luggage, and he's like stressed out. He's like, okay, well, we got to get to this gate by this time. We got to go get a Starbucks over here because we didn't have like caffeine this morning. And the girl's just kind of like,
make
oh,
a
this is so nice.
downtown, like,
I've never seen this. I don't know what side of
I've
TikTok
seen
you're
it,
on, Jack.
and
We're on the wrong side of TikTok.
I've
we
seen
get
it.
totally different algorithms.
I've seen it on like dating dating apps too.
Yeah.
Like girls have said what I'm looking for, a man to like
So I can
take
turn
care
my
of the
brain off.
airport or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. And that's why that's
Never heard
why
this.
it's so important to be a man that she can't manipulate, because here's what it is. If for example I'm manipulating you and I'm stealing and I'm like telling you what you want to hear just so that I can get a free trip to Vegas or just so I can get free accommodation, and you catch me talking to my ex and I'm like, no, he just came over to drop something and he left within an hour. The moment you can't spot the threats that I'm positioning to you, I'm going to think that you can't spot the threats when we are going to the airport. You're not going to realize what's going on, or when somebody is asking for money and investment in the future and you're not spotting the threats in this, or when somebody is saying taking us down the wrong path and the driver, you're not going to be able to say to the driver, no, you're going down the wrong way. So if you can't spot it in us, we think you can't spot it in general, and therefore we can't turn our brains off. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie. I'm irritated listening to that. Like, I'm irritated because, quite frankly, yeah, from a female's perspective, like what she's talking about objectively on an outcome based type of thinking, yeah. Women want the guy she's gonna respect. And the problem is, and the guy who's gonna like create the circumstances for their success in ways that's meaningful to the the whole, all parts being equal parts of the whole rather than pieces individualistically. That being said, what she says is not what everything she just said there is not the solution. What she just said there was um a result of either or situation where the woman takes the loser or the drug dealer or whatever that makes her feel good, or versus the good guy. She never actually told them how to get that. She's actually insinuating that women can in and of themselves determine which of those guys is the kind of genuine man that will create the circumstances for her success and the family, as opposed to the guy who's just going to make it seem like that because he's making her feel good and then screws her over. She's actually not getting to the root of the problem, which is deferring to the ultimate authority, which is God and your father, so that you can have them vet those men and have that man tell those things to you. Because ultimately, when that ex-boyfriend comes over and for an hour or whatever, who's gonna justify in her mind that what she has is better than what she's lost? She has no idea, because she's considering what makes her feel good in that moment. She can't think that far ahead. The only one that's going to reason with her rationally like that and make it make sense to her in a way that actually determines her ability and capacity to be loyal to that thing itself is her father and God. Because her father telling her, this is why this man is good for you. If a woman has 5 options and she's like, I like option A and C and E, but I don't know about these two. And the father's like, well, you like all of these respectively, but like B and D might be best for you. And here's why. She'll trust him and she'll be loyal to that thing because of it. Like, she'll like the option, but she'll trust him more because it came out of her father's mouth. The
I
women today are sorry, go ahead. I'll go on
yeah.
forever. This is
Well, I'm just gonna say that she's saying that, oh well, she should either do this or leave. No. First of all, he should be checking her behavior at that point in time. And if she
right,
can't
right.
if she can't handle the boundaries that he's going to set, then he has to just say, okay, well, we're not going to go any further because he's not going to play that game.
Exactly.
And then she'll have to
Yeah.
figure it out, because at the end of the day, men are the ones who set boundaries, not the women.
Yeah,
Men,
that's true.
they're the ones who set the boundaries in society. They set the framework for society, because women want to get along to go along. And men aren't like that, because women are more willing to go and forgive and say, oh, well, they didn't do this. And men's like, no, you need consequences. You're going to prison. Right. And that's what we need. We need the men to sit down and when they say it's enough, then it's enough, because especially when you're dealing with other men. But yeah, I mean, we'll just,
Yeah. I've noticed that myself as well. I noticed that men who are like really smart, they will do boundaries without actually like making you feel like a bad person. So they just like, my dad will do this as well. Like I seen him when he doesn't want to engage with something, he's just making a boundary. He's just not going to engage in it. It's just like, sorry, sucks to suck. I'm not participating, whatever that is. Moving on. Like, and I seen other men do this too. And then I'm just sitting there like, oh, oops. Better not do that again. My bad. And it can be something innocent. It's just like, then you just realize, okay, like, that's not the flex.
This is another clip of what Willis pull up another clip of what she says here.
I always say to men, you will never ever get the same level of respect and love from a woman who's not attracted to you. Choose a woman who's attracted to you. When you try and bypass that because you want a woman out of your league and you just want that, she can be out of your league as long as she's still attracted to you. Some women are just attracted to you regardless, so she has to be attracted. And how you measure how attracted she is to you is how much a physical affection she initiates. It doesn't have to be, women won't always initiate sex, but when we're attracted to a man, we constantly initiate physical contact. So how much she has to be attracted to you. Once she's attracted to you, she has to trust your judgment. How does she trust your judgment? You have intense amount of self-control. With all areas of your life. You're controlled with your money, you're controlled with your food, you're in control with your intelligence, everything. You have self-control. If you are impulsive and you are chaotic, some women will find that attractive, but they are usually also very impulsive and chaotic women. Most women want a man that they know is naturally somewhat responsible. It might sound boring in the short term, but in the long run, there is nothing more unattractive than an old teenager. What is an old teenager? A grown man who's still impulsive. So don't be that guy. It's just not attractive to a woman. Learn to control your impulses, whether that means your aggression, whether that means your anger, whether that means your sex, whether that means your food. You learn the art of self-control, because only through self-control then you can achieve whatever you want. But without self-control, it's like you have to stop and start. Everything you start in life, you have to stop and start, whether you make money or whether you start a great relationship. If you don't practice self-control, you won't have self-respect, and therefore you won't actually achieve your long-term vision. So really practice a lot of self-control. I would say that is really important for women. And, the usual, obviously, charm and skills and all those things, but you live a life that you're proud of. One problem with men that, not men, but it can be for a lot of people, is what's really unattractive is when a man lives a double life. There are so many men that in public, they might be very admirable, might be very successful, whatever it is, but their private life is one that is shambolic, or one that they're embarrassed of, or they're ashamed of. They might be doing things privately that they're not proud of. You need to become a man that if there was a camera following you in private, you would actually be proud of the things that you do in private. Whereas when you live a double life, the problem is you'll have to use your false self to attract a woman, and then she'll discover the real you and she'll leave. And you almost, are always tiptoeing around women, because you know that if she knew the real you, she wouldn't be attracted. So the key is to become a person whose private self is congruent with their public self. And as a result, you'll be more attractive. I know that's a very vague answer, but essentially we're attracted to a man that is able to look after us, and that requires responsibility.
She just said to a man how to be. She just singled the word to sell to a man how to be a man. And firstly, she said, she pretty much just outlined. She said that women are attracted to, the more attracted women are to a man, the more she's going to break boundaries, because she said the more she's going to touch him physically. So the more a woman is attracted to a man, the more she's going to break his boundaries. The more I am attracted to a man, the less I want to touch him. Like, I already don't want to touch regular men. I'm a person, I will sit on the opposite end of the room away from everyone, because I respect boundaries. I don't want to be around somebody. I don't want to touch somebody in their space. I don't even really like hugging people or shaking hands, but I do it for the sake of courtesy. If I like someone, if I deeply, deeply like someone and I respect them, I don't want to touch them at all. I want to respect their boundaries. I don't want to make them even think that I'm trying to put them in a compromising position, because I don't want to cause them to falter in their faith. I don't want them to fall into sin, into lust, or to, bad things. I don't want to be the cause for them to stumble that way. And then I don't want them to look at me as the avenue of the cause to sin. I wouldn't feel good with that on my conscience. And if I created the avenue for that, I would break up with the person, because now I would calculate down the line how the effects of what I just done, and then I would just break up with them. I'd be like, you know what, I'm sorry. Like, matter of fact, I clearly can't control myself in this situation, or I've caused you to fall, and I can't respect this situation anymore. And that's just what it is, because I've already seen what it's going to be. I don't have self-control in the situation, neither do you. This isn't good for either of us. And people have their mistakes, they fall or whatever, but what she's outlining is a deliberate tendency to deliberate behavior to do this, a propensity to do this out of, and then and masking it as feelings. No, that is a height of disrespect, and that is fatherless behavior, because no, nah, man, nah, man. Nah, man, I don't even know what to say. Like, I don't, nah, man. Women need boundaries. Women 100% need boundaries, and fathers are not teaching their daughters how to have boundaries. This is insane. This is insane.
But she's telling the man on what he needs to do on his part,
Also, how to,
when I was listening to her, I was like, you're not making any sense to me, none whatsoever. What I heard was like, I mean, my ears started to bleed. And she can sit down and say from her perspective as a woman, but telling the man what he needs to do, like, she doesn't understand what a responsible man is. And saying that you're going to be the same at home as you are at the women are notorious for not doing this as well. Like, I mean, what they
and
go out in like, I mean, to the next level, like with the makeup and everything, doing themselves up in a certain way, and then they're different that
yeah.
way, and then they're different attitude.
I
Obviously,
mean,
no,
she's wearing a full face of makeup.
I mean, this is obviously you don't want to have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Nobody is sitting down and saying that you want to have that, right? You want to have some kind of consistency. But some of the things, like the things that she's saying, is like, yes, those are the things that the women can see, but they're not what the things that the women can't see. She can't
Yeah.
explain that. She's giving a very simplified response on something that is more complicated to a man,
Complex.
because she has no idea of what the men have to do that. She doesn't. She can sit down and say this and say, from my perspective, this is what we think that we want. But you guys have to figure it out on how you got to do that.
Yeah, and then on top of it, saying that women are only, a man can be with someone who's out of his league, but he has to go with someone who's attracted to him, or else the relationship's not going to work. Not realizing that in large part, most of the attraction that women actually have to men comes from the mental and emotional stimulation, comes from a woman seeing men create circumstances that are even unbeknownst to them. And a lot of that drives their emotional and mental connection, the attraction, even the visual attraction comes from that, which is why women have so many ugly friends, and they'll lie bold face and say, oh, my friend is so beautiful, because women see things through emotion, and it happens with men as well, which is why the things that they sell to them on TV, like the men are so emotional, because that's what the words and the emotion feed the women. And you just like,
They,
it's not that you saying you can't be attracted physically to the person, but what she outlined there was simply not, I
they
mean,
they've conditioned women to go after things more visually than they normally would be, because
yeah,
women are
that's not
not
normal.
near as visual as men are. But you're looking at,
No,
but
it's extremely,
they're selling women to be visual like men. That
but that's what gets them on the track of what she was talking about before, where women get to the point where the more that she likes you, the more she's going to put her hands on you and touch you. No, man. No, because that means you're no longer, women are becoming the predator and men are becoming the prey. Women are the hunters now and men are the hunted. That's what they're getting into. And that's not normal. When women start behaving those ways, that's a feminist mentality. They want to be the one making the shots. They want to be the one making the calls. They think that they're in control and they're the one leading the ship. And they say that they want a man to lead the ship, but they don't, because they're not following the guidance and the leadership of man. They're saying that I want this right now and I'm going to have it right now, so I'm going to put my step in action to do it. And if you don't, like, whatever you feel doesn't matter as the man, because I've decided in this moment that I want it and I will have it.
Now let's listen to another clip of this woman. We'll pull it up.
If being with a man that you can control activates your mother instincts, what activates a woman's sexual instincts?
Being with a man that removes her fears. And what I mean by that is physical fears, like you're scared of other people, whatever, if that exists. Financial fears, emotional fears. When you're with a man that removes fears and replaces it with safety and connection and, you know, mutual respect, then what happens is it activates your sexual desires. You can only, like your mum said, you can only orgasm when you trust. So when he takes away your fears, you can develop trust.
You might wrangle this into fears, but I believe very strongly that there's one more piece of the equation if you really want to activate a woman sexually, and that is you have to make her feel beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. I really agree. I genuinely think that a lot of women, when they deny men sex, it's really because they haven't felt beautiful in so long. So they think that if you don't find me beautiful, what is the point? Women, again, I know I keep using the word narcissistic when it comes to women, but our sexual experience is narcissistic. How much we enjoy it is entirely based with how you make us feel, how beautiful and loved you make us feel. And this is one of the reasons why I know I keep going back to pornography. I encourage men never to watch pornography when they're growing up, when they're young, because what happens is they develop a dysfunction, erectile dysfunction, and when a woman doesn't feel attractive, she can never desire you again. If a man can't keep his erection in the first couple of times, if they haven't established safety and they haven't got their loving relationship, but first couple of times he can't keep an erection, that woman cannot sexually desire you again, because you make her feel so ugly in that moment, even though it's got nothing to do with you. Even though it might have nothing to do, the man's like inability to perform may have nothing to do with me, but women take it so personal, and they'll never desire him again, ever. Whereas another man who makes her feel like like a goddess, she will desire him again and again. So it's in your best interest to not worry about what move or what angle or whatever. Just stroke her ego in that moment.
Telling them to lie is crazy.
What?
Telling them to lie is crazy. Telling them to stroke her ego is insane, because if it's not true, she's going to know. She's going to know. She's going to. But, you know, the fact that she's saying that women only get enjoyment intimately out of them own selves feeling good, like that means that women are getting power out of the sexual experience. That is feminism. That is predatory. That is sick. Because love is about being selfless. Love is about duty. Emotions come after. It is not first. God chose to love us, and there are feelings associated with it. We choose to love our spouse. Love is an action word. There is duty in marriage. You do things because there is a need, not because there is a desire. The desires come with it. It is not the sole purpose. You go to work and you get money. You have to work for the money. If you do not work for the money, you get fired. You don't get the money. You lose your house. You're on the street. You don't have food.
Duty is not even actually the proper word to use in the context, because it's not like a chore. You're doing something.
That's not what I mean.
I know, but people will take this the wrong way. You're doing something because you know that makes that person happy, right?
That's
like
what I'm talking
there
about.
are things like, for example, like baking. I'm not a baker, but how many times did I come in and bake with you when you were a kid? Because you love to bake, and I would say,
cookies.
I would come in and do this because this makes my daughter happy. Because I'm not a fan of sweets, but you liked it, so I did it. And
no, but you like the peanut butter cookies, and we always made peanut butter cookies.
Yes, but I'm saying the baking, like, I mean, baking's here or there, but I mean, because I'm like, my child enjoys this, and like in a relationship, you do this, like, well, my wife would enjoy this, or your husband would enjoy this, so you do this because you know that they like it, and they know that in return, they're going to do something like this for you. This is just the way it works.
you should enjoy doing things for your spouse that makes you happy, even if it's something that you would typically hate. As a woman, I could eat just a sandwich and be perfectly fine. I would not cook very often. But if I have a man that I love and care about or respect, I will get enjoyment out of making a whole course meal, like baking things like desserts and, smoothies, whatever, because I want to see him enjoy it. That will make me happy, seeing him enjoy that after a long day. Why are people like, I only get enjoyment from you? Is that person your own personal sex toy? Like, that's weird. That's weird.
What I'm going to say before we go to a commercial break is that she's saying this and saying that women are somewhat narcissistic in this. The reason why this is happening is because they're not actually getting people to take the time to get to know them. Because you wouldn't have to stroke someone's ego, because you don't have to lie. Because if you're taking the time to pay attention to your partner, you're going to learn a lot of things, and not just talking in the bedroom, but in many other places, in other areas of life, that you pay attention, and you're going to begin to understand the things that you see that they like and don't like. And that will then make things much better. Anyway, let's take a short commercial break and we'll be back.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
All right, so if you need anything, go to mypillow.com/Karis or call 800-845-2942. Use the promo code Karis. They got lots of good stuff. There's other ways to support here in the ticker, the donor box, the Give, Send, Go. If you're watching on Facebook, Rumble, or if you are watching on BitChute, there are other affiliate links as well, or you can go to all my links /Karis Project, and you'll see a lot of good stuff that you can use to go and support, and merchandise and all that kind of stuff. All right, so kind of back to what we're saying. I mean, some of the stuff that she's saying is just it's trying to take the place of I mean, having that time and taking that time to spend with someone. This is why when we start, like, if you're not taking the time to learn about someone before you lead up into the situation, you're going to fall short. And this is where people need to start understanding that there's a foundation that needs to be laid, but we're not doing that. We're doing this for instant gratification. So, I don't know. Let's bring up this other clip because this one's a little bit lengthy. We might have to stop part way in between, but we're going to get this on what she's talking about. Nice guys.
Yep, that's good advice. Certain men have given all men the reputation as being liars and cheaters.
Yes.
But in reality, I think I've heard you say that women are typically more guilty of this than men.
I would say women are by far more guilty of this, and I can't believe that we've kind of created this culture where we just believe that men are, the liars and the cheaters. And I find it so fascinating that I'll have clients where the woman is literally cheating on her husband, and she'll say men are trash. Those words would leave her mouth when she's the one that's causing the lying, and she's like, oh, but because here's the thing. I think here's the key difference between men and women. Women genuinely believe their lies. They believe the lies they tell themselves. So when they say, but it's not an affair, it's just emotional. And I'll say, oh, you had an emotional affair. Yeah, it was just an emotional affair. Did you ever sleep with him? Only a couple of times, but it was an emotional affair. They use that word emotional affair. If I could give one piece of advice to men, if you've ever heard the word emotional affair, she's been having plenty of sex. Plenty.
and then some. They use the word emotional affair to make themselves feel less guilty. There's no such thing as an emotional affair. Look, I have many male friends in my life who I'm very, very close to. Now, if we're going to use the term emotional affair, that could be seen as an emotional affair because I talk to them every day, I love them, I care about them, they care about me, we call each other, whatever it is. The key reason it's not an affair is because there's no sexual interest on both of them. If you're saying emotional affair, what makes it an affair? It would just be a friendship, no? The fact that they're saying emotional affair is their way of diluting the truth. There was physical relationships, and here's the bigger problem. Men believe it. The bigger problem is, oh no, she had an emotional affair. I think she started talking to the guy, but nothing happened. You're a man, right? You're a man. Ask yourself this. If you're a man talking to a woman that you know is interested in you, so much so that she's risking her relationship, are you just going to talk to her? Are you not going to sit with her? So you're just believing your woman's version of events, but try and think of it from the perspective of the man that she's talking to. There's a woman who's married or has a relationship, and she's risking it all and sending you pictures or sending you messages and calling you late at night. Wouldn't you think, whoa, she's risking it all, let me try my luck? How does it stay at emotional affair in your mind?
Let's just stop for a second. She's lying. She's lying. The reason
lying,
why.
but did you just hear her say that the men don't know, but then she's telling the men to think of it from the man's point of view? Who's coming after her wife?
I'm like, first of all, women have men around that they will never sleep with, but they are still taking some emotional thing that she's not getting from a man.
She's lying about her male friends. Like the way that she said it, she's like, but I have these men, it could be seen as emotional affair, but there's no sexual attraction on either end. Bro, I'm sorry. The hypocrisy in the whole statement is crazy.
This because okay, I don't understand the experience of women, but I see women throughout my entire life taking things from male friends, and I'm not talking about physical things, like needs that they should be getting from their partner, not this friend. Yeah. And it will cause problems in a relationship if you have a man and you start doing these things, even if it's a platonic friend, that's a good way to destroy your relationship. I'll tell you that right now. You have a close bond with a man for some kind of thing. She loves them. That's fine. You can have your close friends, but if you want to have a man and a man comes around, you need to start cutting them ties because the man is going to be like, sorry. There's got to be a certain type of boundary that's set, right?
Yeah. If my like future husband or man or whatever said, you know, you need to cut this person off or you need to not talk to this person, I'd be like, okay. Like, or like, this is inappropriate. I'd be like, okay. Because why do women think, why are women delusional? That the fact that she's made that statement shows that she doesn't understand the difference between the mind of a man and a woman. The fact that she's instructing the man on how to view the actions of the other man as a man's point of view tells that she actually does have the feminist mentality where she thinks that they're on the same playing field mentally. That's off base. That's way off base. And then the fact that she thinks that she can have platonic male friends that are not actually just leaving her for break for in case of emergencies or like playing the long game. It's like, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? You can't have a successful. And then she says she calls them all the time and talks to them like she loves them. Nah, I don't have a single male friend where I'm like, I love them. If I feel like I love you, it's because I want to marry you. I don't want to be your friend as a female and say that I love you. I'm sorry. I love you in Christ. Outside of that, nah, I'm not going to fix my mouth to say that. That's crazy. That's crazy. What do I love you for? Marry me? No.
Yes, let's go and finish watching this clip.
Now, maybe there's times there are emotional affairs because, you know, they live in a different country or this and that happens. But there seems to be a get out of jail card with the word emotional affair because men seem to think if it's just an emotional affair, it's okay. But it's usually they're telling themselves this lie. It's not true. Yeah, emotional affair means physical affair, but if my husband comes to me and says, Salvi, I'm having an emotional affair, I'll go, shut the fuck up, you're sleeping with this girl. And I'm gonna DNA test everything before, because I'm smart enough to know there's no such thing as an emotional affair. But if I tell a man that, for some reason he wants to believe that it was just an emotional affair because it protects his ego, I would honestly say, wake up.
Interesting. What do men misunderstand about how women operate?
They genuinely, well, some, like I said, naive, they're naive, but here's what the main thing is. They think women don't care about attraction. This is the fundamental mistake men make. They think women don't need to be attracted, and we do. I'm not saying you need to be super handsome, but we have to be attracted to you, whatever that is. Some women are attracted to dad bods, some women are attracted to short men, some women are attracted to any race, any color, any size. But they have to have attraction for her to respect you and have a fear of losing you. Without this attraction, she has no fear of losing you. Zero. Attraction is fundamental for women. And what happens in this day and age, or this kind of culture, is back in the day, I'm not saying it was as essential. I would imagine in my parents' generation, particularly in Pakistan where I'm from, attraction was not relevant. It was not relevant. You can be happily married and so on and so forth. In this day and age where there are so many channels to meet men that you are attracted to and make you feel more attractive. When you have a man that you're attracted to giving you attention, as a woman you feel more desirable compared to a man that you're not attracted to. Like, for example, I might be waiting at the bus stop and if it's a really handsome man comes up to me and asks me for my number, I'll say, I'm really sorry, I'm taken, but thank you so much, have a great day. Now, if a crackhead comes and says that, I'll say, shut the fuck, get away from me. Attraction is the fundamental difference, is how I'm treating them. So when men, I think what they get wrong is they think they can buy attraction. They think if I treat her well, if I give her this lifestyle, if I show her safety, if I can do this, if I can do this, I can do this, she will love me deeply. Unfortunately, attraction is similar to friendship. You can't buy it. You cannot buy it, and you can't bypass it. So I think the fundamental mistake men make is they think attraction is something you can compensate. And I know I've said before in interviews that you can make up for looks by being funny and charming. I agree, but the key, I'm still sticking to that. What I'm saying is she has to be attracted to you. It could be your sense of humor. She has to find you physically attractive. If she doesn't find you attractive, there's nothing you can do. If she just doesn't do it. I need to explain that a bit better, because I've said in previous podcasts that you can compensate it through money or through charm. What I mean by that is she still has an underlying attraction. You can find a really funny man attractive. You can find a really charming man attractive. He might not be physically, but you can find him that. But if you haven't sparked that attraction in her, you won't get the respect out of him.
There's so much we don't understand about relationships, isn't there?
And it's so hard for men as well. I had a client the other day, and I was trying to explain to him, he made this mistake where he grew up watching a lot of rom-coms. So he would do this thing where he would write letters to girls and poems to girls, and he would treat them very well. And I just said, unfortunately, we are not attracted to that. Because even though it seems really nice and caring or whatever it is, it's still a feminine method of expressing love. And we're looking for the masculine method. We would rather be with the guy that we say, our anniversary is coming up Wednesday, don't forget, than the guy that writes us poems before he goes to bed. Because one leans into masculinity, the other leans into femininity. So the things that we complain about, oh, he didn't remember, it's coming up next week, or he's never written me a birthday card. The things that we complain about is actually the things that make men men. So it's very hard to decipher us.
There's so much. There's so much to unpack there. She said so much. Being attracted to a man has nothing to... A woman has to be attracted to a man to be with him, yes. The way in which that happens, though, depends on the mentality of the woman, and the fact that she said that if a crackhead approached her... I've been homeless on the street, and crackheads have approached me. Sketchy people have approached me, and I've kept my respect. A good woman, a Proverbs 31 woman, a humble woman, is going to treat everyone with respect. Not because they deserve it, but because that is what God asks her to do. That shows who she is. And she also understands that she doesn't know the potential of the person sitting in front of them. And her best chance of leaving that situation safely, effectively, and efficiently is through respect. Because the moment you pop off with, shut the F up, blah, blah, who are you? Whoa, why does it jump to that? Just because that person, that means if you think like that, you're telling me you're going to treat the person who's attractive to you better than the crackhead, and you're going to talk to them nicely because they look good. Whole time, the person who looks good could be coming to actually kill you, and the crackhead could actually be coming to give you a good word, could do something of a blessing to you. That is a sick mentality. That's a fatherless behavior mentality and a feminist one, because
yes,
I'm sorry,
if I saw
that's
somebody
bad.
that, because somebody that they found unattractive gave them attention and they told them to
I would not deal with that
screw off,
person.
I would be like, you know what? I'm sorry, but we're done. Right? Like, I'm
Exactly.
sorry, but I don't want. Like, listen. You don't have to be happy that that person is, but you don't have to treat them like scum because
Literally.
you don't like them. You can sit down and say, "I'm sorry,
And
but
then
I'm not into you." Right?
she, yes, sorry.
That
Go ahead.
that's really it. That right there, I'm just like, no, absolutely not, because
Yeah.
that's how women get themselves in trouble. That's
Yeah,
how they get
that's
themselves
how
into
we,
trouble,
yes.
because they think that
Yes.
just because they're not attractive that they can just slice and dice them, and then they do it to the wrong
Nope.
man that's unstable, and then they get a consequence because they think that, well,
Mm-hmm.
if you're just not that person, you don't know who you're dealing with. It's always better to be respectful when you tell people you're not interested, unless
And the
obviously
fact
they're doing something wrong, really wrong.
that she said she would cuss her husband out like that. I've been cheated on by my ex, and I didn't even speak to them like that. I was like, "Oh, true? Really? Why?" And then when I saw that the behavior just persisted or whatever, I was like, okay, well, it is what it is. On with my business, on with my life. Like, try to fix it, work it out, whatever. But that type of instantly with the cuss, like, she doesn't have respect for men, and then on top of it, she thinks she's better than men. Because when the guy was asking her what the problem is, she's like, men, they're just really naive. They don't understand. They think it's emotional. She's really condescending in the way that she's talking about this, and this is actually kind of sick to me. Like, this is weird to me, because talk she doesn't talk like men are the authority, that they actually have the capability, the capacity, and the vigor. She talks about them like they're naive, they're easy to manipulate, they're weak, they're
It,
lowly. And the fact that she talks like she will talk to them, oh, if you don't look good to
it,
me, if you don't have this outward thing, I'm not going to treat you with any basic human dignity or
it,
respect.
what
What?
she does, and I don't know what kind of men she's dealing with because they're stupid.
Me
I'll tell
neither.
you right
I
now,
never see
because if a
anyone.
woman is going to take the time to build an emotional bond with someone, you're going out the door. You're done. If you're going
You're
to go
done,
ahead
yeah.
and start building a foundation with someone, even if you're not having sex with them, you're done, because you're taking away from something that you should be doing here with me, but you're going off and doing it with someone else, saying that you're
And
getting ready to prepare a foundation for someone, and so forth. This is not like you went and got blacked out drunk and woke up and you're like, ooh, geez, that was bad, right? And even still,
like,
that's bad. But I mean, you went ahead and you were premeditating having this
yes,
foundation. Whether you slept with him or not, it doesn't matter, because you're deliberately
yeah.
going out and tearing down what you're having, by extension, by going out and building a bond with someone
And
else.
yes, participating in that. And so that's what I was going to say, because like, she said that you have to be attractive. If you're attractive, then the woman has to fear losing you, and it's your attraction that fears losing you. The amount of men that I have in my DMs, and have been having in my DMs for the longest time, some of them are objectively very attractive, perfect bodies, whatever. um none of it moves me. None of it sways me. I'm not attracted to any of it. I see it and I avoid it like the plague. I don't even engage with it. I'm just like, it just makes me really like the ick if you really want to go there. The only man that I'm afraid to lose is the man that I can see actually respects me, is kind, is a gentleman, is caring, like helps create the circumstances for my success, like mentally, spiritually, emotionally, like physically, all these things. Like they make me a better person just by me interacting with that person. That is the only man that I would be terrified of actually losing, because that is extremely hard to come by. He is extremely attractive because of what he's capable of doing. When women, what you're saying doesn't even make sense, because a woman will always think someone is objectively more attractive than the next person. You will always, the brain, the eyes can see. The eyes are meant to see. So you will always see somebody who's objectively attractive or objectively more attractive than the other person. It is extremely, extremely, extremely hard to find someone who's more capable to create the circumstances for your success individually and the family as a whole than what you have, if you know and see the value of what you have. And when you take the time to build that bond with somebody, you are not going anywhere else, because it's rare to find that to begin with.
This is where
she's lying.
But this is where we're when this ends up saying is that the nice guys are not getting anywhere, and they think that they don't distinguish between nice and kind. They don't.
And kind. Yeah.
And they think that just because somebody's kind and thoughtful that they can walk all over them. Women think this all the time. And then they find out. They find out, because then they sit down and see the man that just says, okay, that's enough. And women don't understand the potential that lies within a man. They don't. Because I'll tell you right now, if my ex-wife understood what I was doing now, she would have never ever dare do what she did, because she was worried, but she didn't realize how far I would go, because it was at the point where I'm like, I don't care what you're going to do. I'll give my life to protect my children. Like, that's just the way I am. But somebody's going to look at it. They're not going to understand that. And this is where they underestimate that situation. And time again, women will sit down and say that, oh, this guy, this and that. And they walk away from the one who will literally die for you and go into the trenches and do things and have that self-control. But we're men like that. They don't play games like that. We don't.
Yeah.
We might give you the rope, and if you hang yourself, that's too bad for you. And then we'll be like, okay, see you later, because we don't want children. We want women that are willing to grow.
And that woman is not afraid to lose her husband, because all she sees him as is either, like she said, charm, money, humor, or sexual goodness, or attraction. And someone like me, I would never even talk about the man that I want to marry like that, because it's like, you have to have, if you genuinely have a certain fear in you for losing you, and women should, because you're asking this man to devote his life to you, you're asking this man to be your provision, your security, your love and your esteem, and you're supposed to respect him. You, like, if you have any fear in your mind to lose this man, you would never speak about men like this. Like, you would never even think those things about men, because you're just you're like diminishing the value of men to something so inconsequential. It means that you yourself, you're coming up with all these solutions mentally, and she said, I'm intelligent enough to know. But when she spoke about the men, she was like, oh, they're naive. They believe they're
That's because she's looking at men in the same context as women and acting like she understands their experience, but she has no idea. I don't know this woman, and I'm not saying one day whether or not, but what she's saying isn't sensible nor reasonable. And it's these kinds of advice that you have to speak from your experience, but you can't instruct somebody on their experience, because I can't tell what a woman her experience is, but I can tell you that I'm not going to accept this, or this is the way that I would react in a situation, or what a man will do. But when she's telling the man how he should behave to her, when she doesn't understand that, she can sit down and say that these things we don't like, right? That is perfectly fine. But when you start telling him what he should do or how he needs to be this or that,
Yeah,
it's like
enough solutions.
you can sit down and say, listen, you got to figure that out. I can't tell you how to do that because I'm not a man. That would
But
be
she,
the best response.
I'm sorry, she doesn't even know how to, she doesn't even know the solutions on the female end of things because she doesn't know how to cooperate with a man because she doesn't see the value in men. She doesn't understand the value in men. She has fatherless behavior. If she really understood the value of men and what they are capable of doing and how that cooperation works with women, she would not be speaking this way. And she would have more solutions for the women end of things because she's giving outcomes and not solutions. She's not even outlining the circumstances by which these things are happening.
We're running up on a time, and so we're going to close here with a prayer. I'm going to say something real quick. Is at the end of the day, women do not understand the experience of men, and I see this happening
No,
way
they
too
don't.
much. And this instruction, and this is where men are getting let off the cliff, and they're demonstrating they love it when the men are weak, but then when they come to strong men, they can't handle it, and they don't know what to do because women, just a lot of women, they have no idea when they see a man that has self control and that he just sits there and he is patient and he does what he needs to do, because a lot of the stuff she doesn't even understand what's going on. And this kind of
Yeah,
stuff, they need to have a very, very
those men
fundamental shift and let the
quick.
men need to start taking control of things again and stop doing this nonsense. Anyway, I'm going to close here with a prayer and then I'll give you quickly your final thoughts because we're up on time today. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you have given us this day. Lord, I ask of you this day to help the men, that we would stand up and that we would submit ourselves to God, that we would be able to work with the women to rebuild our families, our churches, our community, and our nation, and that we would help reverse this situation to have some protection for the children. In this time of wickedness is my prayer. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thanks, Dad, for the prayer as always. Um, yeah, guys, stay vigilant because you know what? The only way that we can actually get back to men being men and women being women and understanding that there is a different perception and that can only be understood on that end of things, like coming from men. Like women do not think that way, they don't operate like men. We have to come back to God. That's it. That's the piece missing. You need God, you need good fathers, good mothers, you need good parents, and you need to see the cooperation between the two. Family is the most important thing on this planet. That's why the devil is destroying it. They don't want us to see God through the family unit, and this is sick. It's actually sick. I'm actually so disturbed by what I heard. So, anyways, thanks guys for your time and considerations checking the show today. I know it's been late, but like I said, stay vigilant. Men be men, women be women. We'll catch you in the next one. To my dearest Karis, until we meet again, my friend, and we'll ciao.